Thanks for staying with us. This is Newsline. As I said, a very special show this evening. I've got Lisa and Henry Tang. Mr. Henry Tang, of course, wants to be the next chief executive of Hong Kong. Thank you again for being on this show. It's a very important show, and I'm grateful that both of you have agreed to come. I want to come to you, Lisa Tang. One of the things that I think really affected Henry Tang, your husband's campaign, is this issue of the illegal basement that you have in your home. I saw you that evening, one evening, when there were a whole bunch of reporters out there filming, and I saw the both of you come out, and I saw you explain the situation, and I saw you, Lisa Tang, you were not a happy person that day. You were tearful. I think you touched many people's hearts in the way that you stood by your husband. But others, the more cynical ones, say it was an act. Was it an act? It could not have been an act.
No. Of course not.
You felt genuinely
I felt actually very bad for disappointing our supporters, people who trusted us, for making this really stupid mistake.
You call it stupid, some will call it more than stupid. They would say idiotic.
Yes. Well, it's stupid. Yes.
Well, that stupid mistake was made, and it has affected your husband's campaign to a very large degree. I don't think that people care too much about your extramarital affair, because that is a private business between the two of you. But the illegal basement was something that people said you should have dealt with, that it made people think about what many people feel that excesses by government officials, by the ruling class in Hong Kong and so on. I'm not going to get into that, but I just want to say that the issue is not over, and I'll just ask you this one. It might be a difficult question for you to answer, but I want to ask you this, Lisa Tang. If the investigation goes on, and if criminal charges are filed, surely you must be worried about that. You must have sleepless nights about how you're going to deal with that, the aftermath of this stupid mistake. How do you deal with it? How do you live with the fact that something worse could happen?
But for sure, I did the basement after I received the OP. So I
the occupation permit.
Yes, so I can sleep very well at night. It was a really stupid mistake, because now that looking back, I don't need so many space. I really don't. Less is more. Less is much more.
It's better to have the two of you together rather than to have space, right?
Exactly.
But Michael, I have to admit that I handled that badly as well, because in the process, I have allowed the situation to get out of hand, turn into a media circus, and we could have handled it better in retrospect. But with 2020 hindsight, everybody could do better.
Sure. I mean, it's over now. What you need to do now, if you want to win the election, is to move on, recover from that. Winning the... Sorry, you were going to say...
I have put it behind us. I apologized. We came out in public and apologized together. So we have put it behind us and come out showing the voters, the election committee members, what my manifesto is about people. It's about caring for the elderly, better education because it's investing into the future, a more diversified economy.
That's easy to say though, Mr. Tang. You do education, better housing, diversifying the economy. This is all in your, helping the people.
Yes.
It's all in your manifesto. I don't have a vote, neither does Lisa Tang. If I had a vote, after all that's happened, the public perception of you as a couple, if I had a vote, give me one good reason why I should vote for you.
Look at a person not just during campaign, but consider the person over years. After 9 years I have been in government, I have served the public with integrity. I have made many policy initiatives that have created jobs and benefited the community. So look at a person over the years rather than just during campaign
But
period.
the campaign lasted a few months. If you end up in government house, if you become the chief executive of Hong Kong, should we be prepared for more skeletons tumbling out of your cupboard?
I don't think there are any more skeletons.
You've had enough.
I believe it's rarely that a person gets a fresh start in life. All the skeletons in my closet has now been aired.
It's all been emptied.
It's now
Okay,
empty.
if you become the chief executive, you know, every July the 1st, you'll take office in July the 1st. Every July the 1st, there are protests in the streets, mass protests. We've had 500,000 people in 2003, I think it was, whatever. There will be protests out in the streets, and some of them will be coming out saying you should not have been elected. Chief, this is if you are elected, that they will be saying you should not have been elected. How do you convince those people that they should trust you as a chief executive after all that's happened? How will you buy back their confidence? Or win back their confidence? Not buy back, win it back.
I believe, Michael, one of my greatest strengths is while I have the ability, the experience, and the team, but one of my strengths is my ability to listen to people. I will continue to listen to the voices of the community in formulating policies as well as implementing them. So I will continue to listen.
But you haven't told me how you're going to win back the people who don't believe you, don't trust you, don't think you should have won.
I think people care most about are the policies that directly affect them. Better housing, better schools, better elderly care, better transport. All of these are what people care about the most. So I will implement the policies that are in my manifesto and ultimately benefit the people serving the community. I will use my policies to regain the support
The public
of
trust.
the
Will
public.
Lisa Tang, will you help your husband do this? Sometimes, or most times, the husband becomes the leader, the wife disappears into the shadow. Are you going to do that?
I will support him all the way. Since I married him, I've been very, very supportive of each other.
You will not feel embarrassed coming out. Everything that's happened, people will still remember it. When you go to public function, charity event, you will walk with your head up high, or you will feel...
Of course. I think that's why Hong Kong is so successful. Because Hong Kong people, they don't judge you because you failed once. They give you a chance. And Hong Kong people is willing to forgive and make sure that you are able to be successful and come up again. And that's the Hong Kong spirit.
Well, let's hope that spirit survives. I just got a few more minutes. Your popularity rating is very low, Mr. Tang. As it is now, there's a huge gap between you and your opponent, Mr. C.Y. Leung. You've got a couple of weeks left. How on earth are you going to narrow that gap? Why should the election committee vote for you when there's such a huge gap in public support for you?
I am confident that the election committee members will support me and the community will support me when
in 2 weeks you can bring that around?
When they see the content in my manifesto, when they see my experience in government and my ability to implement what I say in my manifesto.
You know, I've always wondered, your manifesto, one thing, I've just got 2 minutes. I've always wondered, you've got such a beautiful, loving, caring wife sitting there right next to you, and throughout this interview, she was supporting you. You went astray. What made you do that? Human failing?
I believe every person has failings. Michael,
Don't go into my personal life.
You would not say you have never made any mistakes in your life.
I have.
You?
I'm going to look in the camera and say I did. I have made mistakes, yes.
And I think, as far as I am concerned, the main thing is, after you've made a mistake, is the courage to admit it, and move on, and tell yourself, don't make that same mistake again.
Well, you know, I've got 1 minute, I'm going to give it to you, Lisa Tang. Don't make the same mistake again. I looked in the camera and said, I've made mistakes. Can you look into the camera and tell the people of Hong Kong in a minute why Mr. Henry Tang, your husband, should lead Hong Kong? Why does he deserve it more than the others?
I honestly believe his heart is with the people of Hong Kong. He has a heart that will be caring, genuine, without any lie or pretense. He doesn't need it. And he is very, very human.
Okay, he's very human. We'll end on that note. You're a very human person. Thanks for watching Newsline. See you next week. Good evening.
Coming up, China Life Overseas Special.